Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Hi, my name's Amit Dhuga. I'm an actor and filmmaker in Vancouver, BC, and I'm excited to be back on the show. It's been a couple of years, right?
In a couple years, it's crazy, right? It's crazy how time flies. It felt like you were just on not too long ago. It's 2 years,
Right?
I think. 2 years. Yeah.
Two
Wow.
years. Oh man. No, a lot's changed, and like I said, I like your setup.
Thank
It's
you.
you're doing it big. That's awesome.
Trying out here. You too, you too. I'm sure a lot has happened since the 2 years since you've been on the show, but I love for for new people that are listening to the show, the new viewers and listeners, please tell me a little bit about your childhood, just a little bit, and then kind of how you found your way into, film and entertainment.
Oh wow. Okay. Basically, with my childhood, like I come from a Punjabi Sikh Indian family and born and raised in Vancouver. Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty chill childhood. It was nice. Like, got to, I grew up with my older brother, and like it was my mom, my grandma, my grandpa who I lived with, and like usually it was one of those childhoods where it's like I got to do whatever I wanted. It was kind of nice. Like my mom had a rule, grandma and grandpa said no, let him do what he wants. So it was kind of chill, laid back like that. What was so funny was my older brother was like the outdoorsy one, and
Okay.
I always wanted to stay indoors. So like he would help like my grandpa mow the lawn and like do the gardening and all that. And then like through coincidence, he's now like a landscaper.
Oh,
So and then
cool.
with me, I'm like I would rather sit inside, watch movies all day, play with like toys, reenact like scenes, and like draw storyboards all day and like visual stories. And then yeah, I guess I'll be in the film industry. Why not, right? So it all kind of worked out, right?
For
It's
sure.
kind of nice because it's like I didn't own like I have so many friends in film who've like owned cameras when they were like at young ages or teenagers, or whatever. I didn't own a camera at all. Like I was very like I loved drawing a lot. So like,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't just draw like picture books. It would be like I said, like it would be storyboards. So
Oh.
almost like comic books. So it's like it would be like very visual, very hated reading novels. I was one of those types. I'm like, I don't want to imagine it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Just seeing everything on paper or even on screen. Like I was just more of a visual person. And I think it was the movies that really got me into like loving film, I think were big one was I don't know if you watch Disney Dinosaur, like made it was made
Oh,
in like it was an
yes.
older movie. Yeah.
Oldie
So
but goodie.
yeah, exactly. That movie like blew me away. And then there was a Bollywood movie called Bachelor starring Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know if you've heard of Shah
I've
Rukh.
heard of
Yeah,
him. Oh yeah,
yeah. Who
he's very
right?
popular. Right.
Right.
Yes.
So he
Yes.
his film was the first Bollywood movie I watched. So I'm like, oh wow, like the first movie, first character I can relate to like with my ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of like got me into like film as well. But then I think one of the big ones was I don't know why my mom let me watch it. I think I was about 3 years old when I watched T2 for the first time. So
Three?
yeah, so like I was really young and like she thought I would get scared, but no, I was like the robots and like all the killing and everything that
Yeah.
like I loved it, right? This isn't the stuff we would see on Treehouse TV, right? So
Right.
that really like I think that was above all is what blew me away the most because it's like as a young kid you're not used to seeing those kind of things on screen, right? You're used to watching like all the kid shows and stuff like that.
Right.
So I like after that like I started loving like violence and like writing a lot of violent stories. Even growing up in elementary school, some of the teachers, because we had like activities where we would like make storybooks and stuff like that and hand them in to our teachers. So then some of my teachers would read my stuff and be like, okay. So then I think they put it in my report card, and they might have had a talk with like my mom at one point. They're like, yeah, it's like everything okay at home. His stories are violent and bloody. And she's like, okay, something's got to be done about it. So then she tried to like say, oh, you can't just watch like violent movies. You have to watch, everything, right? And it's so funny. She even says that now, but I'm like, and obviously when you're in film, just like as an actor, you need to be open to everything.
Yeah.
You're a filmmaker, you need to be open to everything too. Like you can have the thing you're known for. So with me, like in my South Asian community here in Vancouver, like I'm kind of known as the action guy. Everyone sees me as that because I get myself there for action roles.
You have the look. You have a look. You have the,
Oh, it's all photoshopped for the meeting. That's all. Oh, I'm just joking. No, I've stepped to the gym once or twice, but thank you for noticing.
Yeah, you look good. You look good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, because it's like I get out there more for action. I've made one action short film that did really well across the festival circuit, and I have like an idea for another action film, but I'm kind of taking my time with writing it right now. But yeah, I mean, I like being out there more for action, but again, you want to be out there for everything. You have to be open to everything. So like with film school, like I guess before I talk about film school, why don't I talk about like how I got into film school? That would be a good start. Pretty much from entry school, I went from like, okay, making violent stories that my teachers didn't like. And then pretty much from there, went into high school. I took drama for 3 years, grade 10 to grade 12. But the thing is with high school, like they're not like, they don't teach you how to act. Well, at least when I went to school, like they didn't teach you how to act. It's more just like have fun, right?
Right.
But I did take it seriously. Like I was involved with like school plays, acted in some of the school plays. Acting was atrocious. I would never like put any of those on my reel or anything, right? But with high school, it was mainly about theater. But I've never been a fan of theater. I'm not saying theater is like bad or anything. It's just for me, I'm like I said, ever since I was small, I've been more of a visual film person, right?
Yeah.
So I have gone and seen plays. Like people have done amazing work, but I'm like, it's just something I wouldn't put myself out there for personally.
Yeah.
But then pretty much from there, like I knew I wanted to do film. So I applied to Capilano University's motion picture arts degree program, and then got in 2013 after graduation in June from high school. I started at Capilano in September that year.
Nice.
And it was a 4-year program. It goes certificate, diploma, and then the 3rd and 4th year are degree. And it was really cool. Like the certificate program's kind of like an introduction to film. Like it was mainly about film production and a little bit of acting. And then there was also the acting program, which was mainly acting, a little bit of film.
Mm-hmm.
But I took the because going into the program, I wanted to be an actor, but I wanted to learn how to make films, how to like make stuff for myself. Whereas with acting, they teach you more about like all the acting and like a little bit of like basic things about film production.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much how to properly get your stuff off the ground though, and that's what I wanted to learn more.
Right.
So yeah, the first year was a certificate program where it's like teaches you the basics of film, like basics of set etiquette, like set terms, knowledge, and everything like that. And then second year was about just a little bit advanced of overall general set. So it's like it talks about like directing, writing, DPing, sorry, and like how to light, sound. Like it's just a bit more advanced. But it was second year where I actually made my first short film. It was called Alicia. I remember that. It was like a part of a course we had to do where we had to do 3-minute short films in 3 hours.
Oh.
We had we had to shoot a film in 3 hours. Like that
Nice.
means block, rehearse, shoot everything in 3 hours.
Right.
Editing and stuff is in our own time, but just having the film shot in three
Yeah.
hours, right?
Nice.
So I made a film about because obviously, like with my background, a big issue in Indian culture is treatment of women.
Really?
So yeah, like it's a huge issue, and it's been going on pretty much, I can't even say forever, right?
Wow.
It
Wow.
still continues to go on, right? Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
it's basically like I wanted to tell a film about basically this Indian wife who is abused by her husband, but then she kind of revolts back finally. Like she kind of talks back at him, says, I don't deserve to be treated
Ah.
this way. And then instead of like learning from it or like realizing what he's doing, he just like doesn't care and beats her. So it's like kind of like a PSA showing everyone like, hey, this is what goes on, right? So that was kind of like my first short film I made. And then the second short film I made that year was it's called Making Waves. It was part of basically like because in each year we do a student film, like it was part of the like official student film of the year kind of thing that we make as a class. And like that was a short film. Like I didn't write it. I wrote Alicia, but this one was written by a colleague of mine in my year, and I just directed it. It was about a guy who just like suffered from an accident. He's just trying to like find his way back to himself again, and he's like stuck in his hospital bed, and his sister's by his side, and like she tries to help him come back because he like suffered like brain trauma, unfortunately.
Mm.
So that was kind of like just a kind of feel good movie because he's like he comes back to himself at the end, and he recovers. So it's kind of like a feel good movie, which was nice. Then after that, it was the third and fourth year of film school. So with third and fourth year, they were more very advanced, especially the fourth year, or sorry, what am I saying? Especially the third year, because it was more advanced as in focusing more on directing, writing, producing, DPing, the history of film as well,
Yeah.
history, visual theory, and all these like really deep meaning of stuff that like filmmakers apply to like films we see today, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really heavy on the directing, producing. So pretty much like the bigger roles, right?
Yeah.
So with third year, I made a short film, my third short, which was a part of a course where we had to do non-dialogue films based on Greek myths. So we choose which Greek myth we wanted to do, and I chose Echo and Narcissus, that myth, and I pretty much just did a short film, non-dialogue, just following the whole trope of like, or not trope, sorry, the whole like storyline. I should say, I don't know why it's a trope. Storyline about like, girl likes this guy, but he's like a total douchebag and like treats her not very nicely, and then she realizes like the guy friend she was friends with for so long who had a crush on her, he's the one that's meant for her, not this douchebag. So like just kind of little like feel good movie again. And then that same year I made my fourth short film called Samir. And that film was called Not Meant to Be, by the way, that Echo and Narcissus one. This fourth one was called Samir, where it was my first time really acting in front of the camera properly as the lead. So I wrote it, directed it, acted in it, and like I didn't have any dialogue because I played a mute guy.
Nice.
And yeah, so like I was kind of exploring a lot with like, because that was my first time really acting properly. So I remember like, get in the mood before shooting, like because I used to catch the bus to school back then. So like I was dressed full costume, like I had like eyeglasses and like little sweatpants and everything. Like I kind of played like this kind of like nerdy, shy, right? And then like I remember like the bus driver came and said hi to me, and I just waved. Like I could have said hi, but I'm like, I'll stay in character, explore it, feel it a little bit, right?
Method acting. I like it.
Yeah, I kind of like to act that way, right? So like with that film, that was a lot of fun. It was just like, a story about mute guy goes for the girl he has a crush on finally, and then she rejects him hardcore. He's all sad. Then he meets another girl who like actually like sees him for who he is, not judges him or anything. So then they get together, which is nice. So the pattern here, besides Alicia, the pattern here was a lot of feel good movies. But then I wanted to tell in my fourth year, which was my graduation film. It was my fourth, right? One, two, three, fifth, sorry, short film I did, and it was my senior graduation project of the year in film school. I wanted to tell something realistic and not so heartwarming.
Yeah.
And that year I remember where like Trump got elected as president, and like it started like a lot of like racism was coming up again. Like obviously it's already been there, but like, you know, when Trump started saying stupid things and like whatever, it started going up more. And then it started
social media went wild.
Oh, and then it started coming up more for Indian people again too, right? And it's like, okay, I want to tell a story where just trying to show like, hey, like racism is not cool. Like it's such a simple premise, right? But from when I told it, from how I told it, sorry, was basically it's a story about, it's called RANVIR, and it's a story about a guy who he's like training to be a boxer, and then he finds out his mom is like a victim in a hate crime, so she's in the hospital.
Oh no.
And he rushes over, and the doctors tell him, hey, like, you know, you need this is the payment fee, whatever. And he's like, oh man, I can't get that money super fast. So the one thing he knows right now is boxing, right? And he's training for it to become a boxer for the championship, right? So then he's like, okay, what if I go to like this like underground street club and try and win some money instantly, right? So then basically he goes into this like street club underground that's like run by like these racist like white supremacists, and like fights this guy, and he gets beaten up and he loses the fight. His mom dies because he couldn't pay, right? And then he becomes this hateful person. Like he goes from this like kind, hardworking person to now this hateful person who like wants to go back to that club and everything, right? So with that story, I wanted to show that when you're like almost like when you're stuck in a bubble, like when you're stuck in a negative space, it kind of can drive you insane, right? So I wanted to show like, here's this guy, like, you know, kind-hearted, hardworking, going for his goals.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like he's lost everything because of this, like, this trauma that's happened, right? This like issue, this accident, whatever you want to call it. Not even an accident, I would say. It was just like, it was a hate crime. That's not an accident, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, right? And yeah, he just becomes insane, basically, right? Becomes a negative person. And it's like that with that film, that was a hard film for me because I acted in.
Oh, you acted in it. Oh, okay.
I acted first,
nice.
so that I played RANVIR, right? And I actually had my mom as my mom in it.
Oh,
and
very cool.
Right? She didn't have a dialogue or anything. She was just laying in the hospital bed. I gave her simple direction. I remember I'm like, hey mom, like for this scene, just lay there, sleep. And I'm like, hey mom, for this scene, you're dead. So don't say anything.
She's like, perfect.
Right? Exactly. So she had, right? And, with that film, that was a big film for me because that was my first time doing stunts as well. I had never done any sort of stunts before. And with this film, it was particularly film fighting. So I worked with a stunt coordinator for the first time for that film. We did a couple of rehearsals, and I remember I told him, I said, hey, I have no stunt background, film fighting background. I want to get into it though. And the fact that he trusted me with it, to this day and forever, I remain grateful for him, right? Because he could have easily said, no, it's too dangerous, I don't want to do no, he trusted me with it, right? And the film turned out great. And basically, like, I think even just acting in it too was tough because it's like I kind of had to, because I don't face a lot of racism every day. There's been particular times I've faced it, but like not so like harshly as other people have. Like I know, like I have friends who have like been called swear words, been called very like racist words. I haven't been called that myself, but I've experienced racism like
Same. I'm the same way. It does.
Yeah,
I feel like whatever you're around, or you're, for me, it's I have a certain kind of bubble that I'm around. So, it's not like I'm, oh, like I'm not like trying to
yeah.
find it, or I have good solid people that I in my life.
The same here. But it's like there's been the odd where I've been like experienced it through ignorance, not so
Yeah.
much hateful. So
Yeah.
like for example, like I've been told, oh, like you're probably cheap because you're Indian. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
cool.
I see.
That that
Gotcha.
that's really cute of you to say. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
like okay.
just bed, right? So it's like I
Yeah.
think getting into that mindset for RANVIR where it's like, hey, like try and picture, like even when I was writing the script too, like having them say these things, and I'm like, okay, I gotta like make sure I react a proper way to it, right? And I think the biggest thing for me though was there was the scene where my mom dies. I remember I think the makeup was so well done because she had like cuts and bruises, right? And I told my mom on the day, I'm like, just stop breathing, right? Like, try not to breathe, obviously. So,
Yeah.
because we're gonna probably see you or hear you. So, like, try not to breathe for the take, right? And I think just seeing her there, like, it really triggered something for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was bad. And I remember we did 2 takes of it. It was like a long dolly shot of me crying and holding her, right? Just like saying, I'm sorry, please don't leave me. Don't leave me alone here, whatever, right? And we did 2 takes of it, and then I think after the second take, I talked to my AD and my DP. I said, "Did we get it?" They're like, "Yeah, it was good," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't want to do
Yeah,
it anymore."
that's enough.
It,
Yeah.
it triggered me, right?
I
So
bet. I bet
I
it
think that
did.
was like one of my very triggering moments as an actor, which was fun. And then pretty much from that film, it kind of led me to get into like be involved with more projects and like meet new people, which was great
Yeah.
because it's like after that film, it's so funny. So I graduated film school. Few months later, my stunt coordinator, who I had for RANVIR, calls me up, says, "Hey, I'm shooting a little short with a bunch of stunt buddies. Do you want to be a part of it? You've got a great look. I'd love to have you
Yeah.
in it." I'm like, "Are you like?" I didn't even think about it. I'm like, "Oh, for sure. Like,
For
hell yeah."
sure.
And like hang out with all these like stunt guys in the union and like who have
Yeah.
worked on like all the bigger projects, and like I did a lot of like networking, which was great. And it was like a simple stunt he wanted me to do. Like he was like going around the warehouse like shooting all these like thugs, and then like he wanted me to like come up to him with a hammer, and I guess shot in the head and fall back. So it's a fun little day on set getting killed.
That's
And then
cool. That's really cool. I
right,
mean, it's
yeah,
just really cool how like certain things can just open up different doors. And well,
exactly.
especially this business. It's like, one thing like that stunt that, doing that we open up all these the network and the people that you meet. And then from moving on from that, you have your own production company, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
Like it
that's pretty
all.
cool.
Oh, thank you so much. Like it all kind of went in a nice flow, right? Because like
Yeah.
from film, like then I started taking more acting classes. I have a local actor friend here who was doing classes, so I was taking classes with him. Like I did take a bit of acting courses in film school, like in my program, but then my friend's acting classes were more like advanced, right?
Right.
And like we would like do monologues, do scenes with scene partners, like all that jazz, right? And then his partner is also a local actress here, and she was hosting a script reading event that she invited me to. So I went over there, and then I met another stunt coordinator slash filmmaker there, who's
Very
also
cool.
become a really, really good friend of mine. And we've collaborated back and forth, which has been fantastic. And
Awesome.
he met him, networked with him. Then I was writing my next film, my first short film outside of film school. I think me and you were talking about it on the last show.
Yeah.
Uh, it was called Prisoner, the gangster one. Yeah, there
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
So I started writing that, and oh man, that film holds a very special place in my heart because that was not only my first short film outside of film school. I did solely independently. First time doing full on action, and with that film, like that really opened a lot of doors for me. Like that was the film that has led me pretty much to where I am now. And I'm still working, I'm still climbing that mountain, but like it's gotten me this far, which has been great, right?
Which is
But that,
amazing. Yeah,
oh
you've been
yeah,
doing
no,
amazing things, man.
thank
Seriously.
you so much. Thank you. Like with that film, it's so special. It's like, wrote it, directed it, starred in it, produced it, and did my own stunts again. Worked with that coordinator from the script reading event. He came on board for this one. And then after that film, he called me up a little bit after. He's like, "Hey, I'm shooting a concept teaser for a film. Do you want to come out and do some stunts?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" Right. So it came out, worked with him, and then he calls me up a few months after. "Hey, I'm shooting something else. Do you want to come out?" Worked with him again, and then one of the like after that, like that was kind of like working with him back and forth with stunts, which was great. Then one of my actors I had in Prisoner calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I'm shooting a feature. Do you want to come out as like my PM/LM?" I'm like,
Nice.
"Oh, for sure. I'm always happy to help," right? Especially when it's South Asian based projects, because with Boundless Line Productions, that's kind of
The focal
the
point kind of like,
that's the focal point. It's all South Asian
gotcha.
stories, and like it doesn't have to be like South Asian characters with a South Asian story. It can be like, if it is, fantastic, but if
Yeah.
it's like takes place in like you know like even if it's like South Asian characters with other actors of other ethnicities and stuff, like that's perfectly fine with
Gotcha.
me, as long as the lead is South Asian. So as long as we're
Gotcha.
following South Asian lead, that's kind of like the focal point of Balance Line. And like I like to have it primarily action, but again, I'm open to like other genres. Like I've produced through Boundless Line, like I produced a thriller, I produced a drama. So it's like
Nice.
um we're gonna be producing a horror soon. So it's like all South Asian based though. So that's
Love
kind of like
that.
the common thing, which is nice. But yeah, like pretty much after my friend who was an actor in Prisoner, he called me up. I PM'd and LM'd his indie feature he was doing. Then I met like a lot of great people who are now friends of mine and crew of mine actually from that film. They called me up after like, "Hey," because like I was telling them I've like, "Oh, I have stunt experience and everything, right?"
Yeah.
And they called me up after and like, "Hey, do you want to be the LM on my student short? Hey, do you want to stunt coordinate this thing?" Like,
Heck
so
yeah.
then it just became a back and forth. And then I guess it just up until now, like it was producing and LMing things and then like a few stunt coordinating things.
Yeah.
And then basically with up until now, I know it's been a long kind of rambling from me, unfortunately, but
No,
up
this is
until
good. This is good.
oh, great, thank you. Up until now, like I'm in post for my first indie feature I've shot.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you. So
exciting.
wrote it, directed it, produced it. It's a South Asian slasher. First
Nice.
one in North America, actually.
Wow. Wow.
No
That's
other stuff
awesome.
has been done, and like
Wow.
it's basically about a group of Indo-Canadian girlfriends who are stalked by an incel on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Right? Because I want to kind
that's
of
good.
tell a story about like incel culture and like
Yeah.
just like hearing all these articles and news reports about like women being followed in the streets in broad daylight,
Yikes.
being DM'd by guys and they're asking for sex or asking to be in a relationship and they're just constantly harassing them about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to tell there, but I want to make it entertaining. I didn't want to do it as an action, it wouldn't work. So I'm like, I like slashers, I like blood and guts, so why not make it like
Why
that?
not?
Right, yeah. So then
I was gonna
yeah,
ask you how important is it to you, like as far as like representation and like just the fact that, that's what you're leaning into and like why did you do it?
I think with representation, it's really important to me because I think it's fantastic because in Canada now, and even in America, like things are starting to change. Like they're starting to get more open to Asian stories, Black
Yeah.
stories, Indian stories, right? I know it's taken long enough, right? But it's finally now. And
Yeah.
I just remember like I remember when I was younger, like I wanted to like hop on that train and be like, "Oh, I want to work in Bollywood. I want to do this." Like that's like a lot of actors here when they're saying, "Oh, I want to go to LA," right? You're hopping on
Yeah.
that train. But then we learned in film school, it's changed now, but I remember when we learned in film school, we learned Canada is very dead for the film industry, right? Like there's barely
Mm,
here. So then I thought, I'm like, okay, what if I brought Indian content here, right? So then I know, which is unfortunate, like I found a lot of people I went to school with. This is what I found unfortunate. A lot of people I went to school with who were from other backgrounds. And again, there's nothing wrong with making you know, English films with Caucasian cast.
absolutely.
But I found like a lot of people from other backgrounds, they were making English films with Caucasian cast, but I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'm like, we took a course called World Cinema. We learned about all these different styles
I
from
see
like
what you're saying.
Japanese cinema, black cinema, German cinema,
The
Italian cinema.
Western
Like,
culture.
yeah, we learned all of this. But
Yeah.
then I want to see stories that are like from their backgrounds. I want to see how they tell it, right? So I
Yeah.
think that for me is important because I'm like, I want to bring, I'm very proud of my culture and background. So I want to
Good.
bring that to everyone to share, right? So
That's
like
awesome.
some of my films have been English with Caucasian, just Caucasian cast, right? But and obviously I'm always open to working with like Caucasian actors, black actors, everyone, right? But I think with me and especially through Balance Line, like I was saying before, primarily the main character should be South Asian, like who
Yeah.
we follow,
Yeah.
because I'm just trying to like I'm trying to break a barrier. I'm trying to
Yeah, I think that's good, and you're doing a fantastic job, and good for you. And it's not in a, and I like that, you're just, you want to share that. It's just like what Jordan Peele is doing,
well exactly, yeah, exactly.
he's using his platform, and people are like, oh, he hates other people of cult. I'm like, no, no,
No,
if
not
you
at all.
actually look into his history, his mom is, white, and his dad is black. He just wants
Yeah,
to tell stories
yeah.
from a different perspective. And I think that's beautiful.
And that's exactly it. Like, because I've had a former friend who was an actor. Um, not he was quite immature about it. He said to me, "Oh, because he always wanted to work with me, but he said, oh, all you make are Indian stories with Indian characters because you don't like white characters." I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that's just ignorance. I'm
that's
like,
terrible.
no,
Yeah.
really stop and think why I'm doing what I'm doing instead of just like jumping
To
to conclusions
conclusions
about
of
it.
like, yeah,
And I
yeah,
find like a lot of people do that, but they need to stop and really think what all these actors from backgrounds are doing, right?
yeah.
Because it's like we just want to,
Tell our
it's
stories
and I
from,
yeah, exactly. There's so many stories that aren't being told because I'm sorry, I don't feel right for saying it, but it's the truth. It's been a white person's industry for so long. Yeah, right. And it's like there's still so many stories to tell. And I think now, which is great, people are finally getting those opportunities to make it now, right? Because it's like more, like I said, more Black stories are coming, more Asian stories are coming, Indian stories. Like this is like it's better late than never, I guess. But I'm like, I'm excited to see what's coming out,
oh
right?
yeah, it's a great time. And the fact that, you have creatives like yourself, and that are doing the work and putting out great content and great stories, and sharing different perspectives, and challenging people to think outside of what we usually see from Hollywood. And again, it is changing slowly but surely,
Yeah,
but there's a
yeah.
lot of work to be done, and it takes, they say, if you want to be a part of the change, you have to, you gotta, you got to make the effort to try to,
You have to do it, yeah.
you know. So
Right? You
kudos
have
to
to
you,
like have
seriously.
that. Thank you so much. Like you have to have that courage to do it. And it's like something I really read about Hollywood, which is really interesting, is you know how where a lot of the audiences are saying now, they're like, oh, Hollywood's just pumping out the same stuff. We
Yeah.
keep seeing the same things. But then a thing I read about Hollywood was with the executives, they're very stingy with their money. I'll be honest. So it's almost like they know these same movies we keep seeing, they're gonna make money. That's what's gonna make them money, right?
Yeah.
They think that's what the audience wants because with the audience, like, yeah, they keep saying, "Oh, it's the same stuff we keep seeing," but they, in the end, they do go to the theater and see them, right? But
Exactly.
with Hollywood, these executives, they're scared to try something new because they're like, "Oh, if we try something new, what if it bombs?" and then they lose all their money, right?
Yeah.
But then they have to also listen to the audience because they're saying, hey, we want to see new stuff. So I'm like, I don't know, but we got a few filmmakers that are coming out there and breaking the barriers and just going for it. And I think I encourage everyone to be doing that, honestly.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
like, you know what, you're gonna have, this is what I learned. You're gonna have a group that loves your film. Then you're gonna have a group that doesn't like your film.
Very
The
true.
one, right? One that don't like your film, that shouldn't stop you from still telling the story you want to tell.
Yeah. 1000%. Well said. And I 100% agree. Oh my God, it's crazy how fast time just goes in this
I know, I
interview.
saw
It's
the
like
thing.
literally 30,
Oh,
it's like on a minute and 36 seconds. Oh my gosh. So,
oh,
okay.
man. We're gonna do a part 2.
Yeah, I mean, we totally have to, like,
100%.
anytime.
It's always fun talking to you.
You too, you too, you too. Oh, where can people find you on social media to follow all the things that you have coming on?
Thank you so much. Great.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh,
Sorry. Did you ask me? Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Sorry about. I think you like cut out a bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, like everyone can find me on Instagram, Amit Dhuga, AmitDhuga, and I also have my Boundless Lion Productions page on Instagram, which is BOUNDLESSLION Productions. I'll just say that everyone knows how to spell that. Hopefully, bit of a mouthful. I'm sorry, but yeah, you can find me on there. I'm primarily on Instagram more. Like I am on Facebook. I don't really use it that much, but primarily on Instagram. I'm constantly trying to put up as much content as I can, especially updates for film. With my personal page, I'm kind of showing just whatever, fitness things, film, personal life, whatever. It's through Balance Line. I'm showing pretty much updates on projects and what's to come, and I have the link to the Balance Line website in there as well. So yeah, come check it
Go
out.
follow. Thank you
Great,
so much for coming on. You're
thank you
amazing.
so much. I mean, you too. Yeah, we definitely have to do a part 2 soon, though, for sure.
Definitely, anytime, anytime.
Yeah, I'll definitely message you after this.
Thank you all for listening to this episode. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. And always remember to live, love, laugh.